Welcome back to Capitol Tonight. Tom DiNapoli has been New York State's top fiscal watchdog, the state controller, since 2007. It is a wonky but critical job that includes protecting taxpayer funds by uncovering waste, fraud, and abuse, providing independent oversight on state finances, reviewing contracts, and administering the state's retirement system, which has grown from $154 billion in 2007 to $273 billion in 2025. The office is also responsible for returning millions of dollars in unclaimed funds. When he's next up for re-election in 2026, DiNapoli, who is generally well-liked among Democrats, will have been in the job for 18 years. While he has not recently faced a strong Democratic challenger, he is going to next year. Drew Warshaw is a former assistant secretary to Governor Eliot Spitzer. He led the effort to rebuild the World Trade Center as chief of staff of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. He's worked in renewable energy, and for the last 5 years, he has led a nonprofit organization that builds affordable housing. And the big news, Warshaw has raised $1 million since he launched his campaign in May. Drew, welcome to Capitol Tonight.
Susan, thank you for having me.
You are off to a very good start, but why a run for state controller? It's not typically something that somebody dreams of when they're a little kid.
Yeah, well, honestly, we are in a raging affordability crisis, and we have got to flex the power of government. And the New York State Comptroller's Office is one of the most powerful offices in state government that no one knows anything about. It's been occupied, as you said, by the same person for 18 years who is asking New Yorkers for a sixth term. And we have got to use the power of that office to attack the affordability crisis, and we're just not doing it right now, and that is not good enough, and we've got to have a change.
So in your ads, which people can see at drewwarshaw.com, you argue that the current controller is throwing pension fund money at Wall Street instead of leveraging that money to address issues like affordable housing. What is your vision? How would you invest pension fund money if not on Wall Street?
Yeah, so the challenge is both the way he's investing the $275 billion pension fund and how he's not investing the pension fund. First, how he is investing it. He has literally handed over $275 billion to 378 different Wall Street bankers. He has given them, over the last 17 years, $11 billion in taxpayer-funded fees, only for them to underperform his own benchmarks by 37%. And if you and I didn't do our jobs for 17 straight years, we'd be fired. Instead, last year alone, he gave his own bankers $1.1 billion in fees, only for them to not do their job.
It sounds, though, like you are blaming DiNapoli for the underperformance of Wall Street.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It is rare that you can quantify the performance of an elected official. In the case of the state controller, when he is literally the chief investment officer of this fund, and he's been there for 18 years, you objectively can quantify the performance. And he has been terrible. He has underperformed the market by 37%. He has cost taxpayers in the process $55 billion. And instead, I want to take this money, instead of giving billions of dollars in fees to Wall Street bankers for them to not do their job, I want to take billions of dollars and invest it in helping to solve the affordable housing crisis here in New York.
I think that this is fascinating. Can you explain how that's going to work?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to take $10 billion. We are going to start the largest affordable housing fund in the United States, and we are going to invest it in properties that New Yorkers can actually afford here in New York. I just ran the largest affordable housing nonprofit in the United States of America. This is literally what we do, is invest and develop in affordable homes. We can do this. We just need the money to do it. And he is sitting on the third largest pool of public capital in the whole country, and he is not putting any of that money towards affordable housing, and we have to change that. Okay,
so you said $10 billion. We have, that leaves 260 something billion. What do you do with that? Does that go on into Wall Street? Because the New York State Common Retirement Fund serves something over 1 million people for their livelihoods, and they want to see it grow.
Absolutely, and so do I. And thus far, over the last 17 years under his watch, it has underperformed the market by 37%. So my opinion is, instead of paying all these bankers to try and beat the market, when they clearly don't, net of the billions of dollars of taxpayer-funded fees that they're getting, I would just take the market return. I would take this money, and instead of giving it to the bankers, I would put this money in low-cost index funds. This is how every person is advised to invest their money, and yet for some reason, the state comptroller over the last 18 years has literally done the opposite. And it's cost taxpayers money, and it's cost the public employees their pension benefits.
So that's a very interesting idea. Have you spoken to, for example, the Public Employees Federation or the Civil Service Employees Association? These are the two biggest unions in New York.
Yeah, I've reached out, and I can't wait to get in front of them and talk about how their pension fund is being invested. And that's the challenge. Literally, no one has challenged the state comptroller in 18 years. And we don't elect kings in New York. And New Yorkers deserve a choice. And I want to give the public employees and the taxpayers a sense and an understanding for just how their pension fund has been invested, because no one knows this story. It has never been told.
So another issue that you've criticized DiNapoli over is what you describe as a slow rollout of unclaimed funds. This is for my viewers, Drew, about $19 billion that's owed to New Yorkers from bank accounts that have been closed that you've forgotten about, uncashed checks, old shares of stock. The current controller has tried to raise awareness around this big pile of money. What would you do?
Yeah, this is what's extraordinary. When he was elected, that fund was $7 billion. It has nearly tripled under his watch. And this is what I mean. We can quantify his performance. A fund that is filled with New Yorkers' own money in the middle of an affordability crisis. It should be $0, because it's the state comptroller's job to give that money back. And so I would take what is now $20 billion. It's grown literally by $1 billion since I announced, from 19 to $20 billion. And we would just send people their checks. No archaic websites, no hoops to jump through. We live in 2025 with data engineers. We know your names. We know how much we owe you.
A lot of these people are dead, though.
So for the people who are dead, they have heirs, and we ought to go find them, and we need to give them the money that they're owed. And this is what I mean about bringing a level of urgency and imagination to an office that's been occupied by the same person for 18 years. It is their money. It is not his money, and he is treating it like it's the government's own money.
So as I mentioned, according to Politico, you have raised $1 million, and that is amazing for a first-time candidate. And what is really special, I think, is that not only are you going to be eligible for the state's new public campaign financing program, which is something that has been long something proposed by Democrats. It's something that you have been a long time proponent of, and we happen to have some video of you as a Cornell undergrad. This is back in like 2003. There you are.
Yeah, when I had hair. This was before the rebuilding of the World Trade Center, which took all of my hair.
So basically, same principles, different haircut. But I think that it's really interesting that you have been talking about this for a long time. How much are you expecting right now in public financing, the matching program?
Yeah, so thankfully, my brothers and sisters who continued the fight for campaign finance reform were successful and got this public financing program set up. And so I'm going to be able to benefit for up to $3.5 million in the primary. And I'm going to work like crazy to make sure that we get as much of that as possible. And this is the thing, we have got to get big money out of politics. It is a crime that public officials can continue to get elected through a system of private financing. So luckily in New York, we don't have to rely 100% on private financing. And so I plan to get the full amount of that $3.5 million and use it to beat someone who has never faced a challenger in 18 years and bring a level of urgency and imagination to an office that needs it.
For more information on Drew Warshaw, who we've been talking with and who is running for the Democratic nomination for state controller, you can visit drewwarshaw.com. I believe it's right on our screen right there. Drew, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Susan.